Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, today what we will do, we will finish immunity. We have a few things in immunity that we will hopefully finish today. Okay. Now, the last time we stopped in class was in cholera. I'm going to quickly revise what happens in cholera, and then I'm going to move on from there. Okay, if you remember, we said what happens in cholera. What is the causative organism? What is the organism that causes cholera? Who will remind me? It's a virus or a bacteria or a fungus. Yes, it's a bacteria.
Bacteria.
And very good. Okay. Now, this bacteria, where is it found? Or what is the route of administration? How does it enter your body? Through the what? Tell me. Someone give me an answer. How will it enter your body? This cholera bacteria.
Through food or water.
Yes, it is a foodborne.
Contaminated food.
Correct. It's a foodborne or a waterborne disease. This bacteria is found in the feces or sewage, and it's going to enter your food or water and finally enter your body. And the first organ it attacks is what? What is the target organ here in this disease?
The small intestine.
The small intestine. It's going to go to the small intestine, as you can see in this picture, and it's going to release, number one, you have to mention in the answer bacteria, small intestine. It will enter the walls of the small intestine and settle there and release toxins. These toxins are going to cause irritation.
يا لهوي هو احنا دخلنا في disease and immunity؟
Okay, can you please mute? Yes, we did take it. Okay. Now, these toxins are going to cause irritation, and the small intestine is going to respond to this irritation by the release of what? Who will remind me? What is released into the insides of the small intestine? It's obvious in the picture.
Chloride
Chlorine
ions.
ions.
Chloride ions.
Chloride ions, okay, which are literally salts. Now, these are going to make the insides of the small intestine or the gut. The inside of the small intestine is called the gut here. It's going to make it very concentrated, of low water potential. These terms are very important. Now, because of that, this is going to attract the water from the capillaries in the small intestine into the insides of the small intestine from high water potential to low water potential by the process of what? Osmosis. Of course, we know that osmosis is how water moves from high water potential to low water potential. Here you have high water potential. The high water potential come from the capillaries, and the low water potential are in the inside of the small intestine. The inside of the small intestine will then be filled with lots of water, lots of salts. All this water and all that salts will not be absorbed, and everything there will move very quickly and outside of the body in the form of what? When you have watery feces, this is called
Diarrhea.
diarrhea. Okay? And this is the main sign and symptom of cholera. You have diarrhea. Okay, now how is this treated? We finished this part and we stopped at the treatment part. Now, think about it. When you have cholera, God forbid, you're losing lots of water, you're losing lots of salts, and you suffer, if this is left untreated, you suffer from what? Dehydration. Now we want to replace this water and replace the lost salts. So what do? We will provide this patient, especially if this patient is a child, with a ready mix solution called the what? Who knows it? We took it last year. It's right in front of you. Can someone say it?
Therapy.
Oral rehydration therapy.
Yes, oral rehydration therapy. Oral means it's taken through the mouth. So do not tell me that I'm going to take it by injection. It is sipped through the mouth. Rehydration, it is done to replace the water lost and the salts lost, and it's a therapy, it's a treatment. It is not water alone, it is a mixture of water and salts and sugar. And because this is a bacterial infection, with the oral rehydration therapy, how can we treat the cholera? Using a what?
Antibiotic.
Antibiotic, okay? But of course, when we use antibiotic, we always have to be careful and leave it as the last resort because the antibiotic can develop what? Any antibiotic for any
resistance.
of course. Okay, so the treatment for cholera, and by the way, this is a very important piece of information, the treatment of any disease that results in diarrhea, the same line of treatment. So they can play around with the question and tell you about another disease, for example, salmonella or food poisoning, and it causes diarrhea. The moment you see the word diarrhea in the question, then understand that you're losing water and you're losing salts, and the treatment will be oral rehydration therapy and antibiotic. This is a standard treatment for any disease that causes diarrhea, because diarrhea can lead to the loss of too much water and too much salts, and this is dangerous. It can cause dehydration, and we have to save the patient by the oral rehydration therapy and antibiotic. Now, the advantages of the oral rehydration therapy, this can be a question. It's a very simple treatment and very effective, and it is very cheap. It is well absorbed by the intestines. It will restore the lost salts and water and the blood volume, and it is going to save the life of the child. It is life-saving. Antibiotics, of course, why can we use antibiotics in cholera? Because cholera is caused by a bacteria, and antibiotics kill bacteria. Actually, that's the only thing it kills. Now, we don't want cholera in the first place. We want to prevent cholera. Then what do? This can be another question. What can you do to prevent the spread of cholera in a country? Very easy question. What will you do?
Sterilize water.
Yes, the water has to be clean. You will not use sewage for irrigation. In other words, in case you don't know what irrigation is, you will not use sewage to water your gardens. The sewage and the water should never come in contact. The sewage has to be treated before it is sent back to the river. You have to wash your food very well. You have to cook your food very well. You have to wash your hands before you or after the bathroom, before you cook your food. Okay? Now, I'm done with cholera. It's very easy and it's very important. And I want you to go back to the questions in the lesson digestion in paper 4 and solve all the questions I told you to leave behind about cholera. Now you can go and solve these questions because they're very important. Cholera causes diarrhea. In case you're asked, what is diarrhea? It is watery feces that is mainly water. It causes dehydration. The keywords are in bold. It can cause death if it is untreated because you're losing water and salts that are very important for survival. Okay, this is sewage. This is not okay. Washing in dirty water is not okay. Drinking dirty water can cause lots of disease spread, not only cholera, food poisoning, salmonella, typhoid, all these diseases are caused by dirty water. Okay, now, the second most important disease that is very important, and you already have an idea about, is HIV and AIDS. Now, we will talk a little bit in more detail about HIV and AIDS. HIV is, by the way, a common disease. It is common. It is caused by a bacteria or a fungus or a virus. Who knows?
Virus.
Yes, it is caused by a virus. You don't have to know the name of the virus for O level, but in case you forgot, the last letter V stands for virus anyway. It's called the human immunodeficiency virus. It's a virus, okay? So can it be treated by antibiotic?
No.
No, it cannot be treated by antibiotic. This you have to put in mind. Now, the HIV, first we need to know how is it spread? What is the route of transmission? Who knows? We took it before. How can HIV infect one person from another
Through
person?
syringe, bloodborne.
Yes, it's a bloodborne disease. So any contact with contaminated blood, bloodborne through blood. What else?
Body fluids.
Excuse
It's an
me?
STI.
Yes, it's a sexually transmitted disease. So, through sexual contact, through the contact of any body fluids. Body fluids include blood, include vaginal secretions, include secretions from the male genitals, but not found in tears or saliva. This is very important. So, HIV is not spread from or through tears or saliva. No. Okay? Only through other body fluids, genital fluids, through the blood. So it's a bloodborne disease and a sexually transmitted disease. Give me another route of transmission.
Through the placenta.
Very good. From the mother to the baby. From the mother to the baby, through the placenta, during delivery, even during breastfeeding. Okay? Now, this is the route of transmission. HIV, also, we know it's a virus. Fine. Now, what does it do? Now, HIV is a very critical disease because HIV, when it infects you, when it enters inside the body, okay, it can remain inside the body dormant for many years. Now, what does dormant mean? Dormant means active or inactive.
Inactive.
Very good. So the HIV can enter inside someone's body and it can be dormant for years. Dormant means it is inactive. It means that you do have the virus and you are HIV positive. You are described now as having or being HIV positive, but the virus is inactive. In other words, you look healthy. You do not show any signs and symptoms of the disease, and you are going on with your life normally. You look very healthy, and this is very, very dangerous because you can be HIV positive and you don't know, or you can be HIV positive and the other people will not notice, they will not realize because you look healthy. Now, why is this situation very dangerous?
You can spread it.
Exactly. You can spread the virus because you look healthy, so people will not be scared from you, and you will practice your life normally, and you will have relationships as normal, and you can spread the virus. So this situation, when you are HIV positive only, and the virus is dormant or inactive inside your body, you are still contagious. I think it's with an I. You can still contagious. Contagious means you can spread the virus. And this is so dangerous. That's why the HIV now is an epidemic and it is found in so many countries because a lot of people are HIV positive. They still did not reach the other stage of the disease, the active stage of the disease. The active stage of the disease is called AIDS. So when does a patient have AIDS? This is when the virus becomes active. And the problem is the virus can remain dormant inside your body for years. It can stay up to 10 years. Of course, it's different from one person to another. It depends on your immunity. Okay, so let's revise quickly what we just said. HIV is caused by, or AIDS is caused by the HIV virus. It's a virus, so it cannot be treated by antibiotics. It is a blood-borne disease. Any contact with contaminated blood by the way, any contaminated instruments like surgical instruments, dental instruments, nail cutters, anything that comes in contact with blood can spread HIV. It is also a sexually transmitted disease through sexual contact. It is not found in saliva or tears, only vaginal or genital excretion. So it is a sexually transmitted infection or disease, and from the mother to the child through breast milk, through delivery or during delivery, and through the placenta. Now, the HIV is a very critical disease because it enters the body and it can remain dormant for years. And in that situation, you are described as being HIV positive, but it is a dangerous situation because you show no signs and no symptoms. So you look healthy, but you are actually contagious and you can infect others because you are HIV positive. Now, when does the virus become active? It depends on your immune system, and it is different from one patient to the other. When the virus becomes active, this is when you actually have active AIDS. If you want to know what AIDS stands for, you are not requested to know what HIV stands for or what AIDS stands for. But because some of you are curious, it stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. Okay? Now, what happens when you have active AIDS, God forbid? You die from something called opportunistic infections. Now, what are opportunistic infections? From the name, these are infections that are waiting for the right opportunity to attack your body. These are infections that are actually very weak and they do not normally cause disease and they do not normally cause death. I am talking about something as simple or as weak as the flu. We all have the flu. Every winter, we all have the flu. But will the flu kill you if you have a normal and healthy immune system?
No.
No, it doesn't. But if you have a very weak immune system, such as if you have active AIDS, God forbid, the flu can kill you because your immune system is totally destroyed. The flu is going to wait for the right chance when you have very weak immune system and it is going to attack you and kill you. This is not normal because normally flu does not kill anyone. Flu does not even kill a child because the flu virus is very weak. It's going to cause some disease for a few days and then you will be better. But if your immune system is totally destroyed, you can die from the flu. So what is the difference between a patient that is HIV positive and a patient that has AIDS? Is that a patient that is HIV positive, he has the virus, but the virus is what? The virus is active or dormant? Excuse me? Dormant. The virus is in the body, but the virus is sleeping. It is not causing signs and symptoms yet. It is dormant. So that person looks healthy, but he can be contagious and spread the virus, and that's very dangerous. After a couple of years, the virus will become active and you will have lots of diseases, and you die for a reason other than the AIDS. You die from the flu. You die because of any other disease. This disease is waiting for the right chance until your immune system becomes weak. These diseases that kills an AIDS patient are waiting for the right opportunity. So these diseases are called opportunistic infections. Is it clear? Let's read together again. Make sure that you
Doctor,
understand everything, please. Yes.
excuse me. What makes the disease goes from dormant to active?
Your immune system was fighting the virus for all those years, and at a certain point your immune system will become so weak and it will be very tired. It will not be able to continue fighting. Okay, and of course it depends from one person to another. Sometimes the virus can be dormant for 2 years, maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years. Okay, and also another factor is if you discover early that you are HIV positive, you take antiviral drugs. These antiviral drugs reduce the time or reduce the effect of the virus. It does not totally treat the virus. There is no treatment for AIDS, but the
Is it possible
antiviral drugs,
someone
excuse me?
is it possible that someone has the disease and it stays dormant all the time until he dies, or does it have to be
If
active
he
as soon
dies for from any other reason, if he dies in a car accident, then he was lucky. He died in the end. Well,
Okay.
but it does remain dormant for 1 to 2 years on average, and then it becomes active. And it can be dormant for a longer time, depending on your immune system, and depending if you discovered the disease early and you took antiviral drugs, these antiviral drugs will slow down the process. Yes, Farah?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Now, this is AIDS. If actually we're done with AIDS. So just I'm going to look at the keywords so we make sure that we did not miss anything. Transmission of AIDS. First, it's caused by a virus. We said that it destroys the immune system. It completely destroys your lymphocytes, by the way. Now, the transmission of AIDS, it's not transmitted by a vector. Malaria is cancelled. But we will also just bring it up. The virus is caused by direct contact, which is direct exchange of body fluids, blood, semen, vaginal secretion, breast milk, but not tears and not saliva. The problem with the virus is that it can remain dormant or inactive for years. And in that case, you will be HIV positive and you will be contagious. Okay, so you can cause the disease or give it to others. And when it becomes active, you now have active AIDS and you die from opportunistic infections, diseases that are waiting for the right opportunity for your immune system to drop. For example, the flu. This is the easiest example. Okay, people that have AIDS, their immune system is completely destroyed. And to be specific, your lymphocytes are completely destroyed. So you do not produce any antibodies, you do not produce any memory cells, you have no immunity. We said it is transmitted by sexual intercourse, blood, sharing infected needles from mother to child, during delivery or childbirth, during or through breast milk. And this type of transmission is direct transmission. You have to come directly in contact with the person or with any of his body fluids or blood. We're done? We're done. Now, another important question. How can you prevent the spread of sexually transmitted infections or AIDS, something like AIDS? You don't even need to look at the slide. If someone asks you how to prevent AIDS, what will you do?
Use protection during sexual intercourse.
Of course, you will use protection, okay? And you only know one example. What is the only example that you know that you can give in an answer?
Condoms. Contamination.
Yes. Okay, condom. Okay, so if you decide to have sexual relationships, this is your decision, but you need to practice safe intercourse or using condoms. Also, something else that is very important. Before you have any type of surgery, you have to make sure that the instruments that you are using are sterile, especially at the dentist. Okay, because this is a line of transmission. So make sure that the instruments you're using are sterile. If God forbid you need blood transfusion, you need to take blood from another person, it's a life-saving procedure. You have to screen the blood before you take it because of AIDS or any other disease. By the way, this is called screening before blood transfusion. What we are doing now is preventing the spread of HIV. We are now being educated. This is spreading awareness. You know now that there is a disease called AIDS. You know what it does, how it is spread. So you can protect yourself when you know, okay? Prevent having random partners. This can be also an answer. So let's read the answer. Practice safe intercourse using condoms. This is the only example that you know. Avoid having intercourse with people who are at a high risk of having AIDS. Of course, some people, they are at a higher risk of having AIDS. Those people that have intercourse for money, these people should be avoided altogether. Okay, such people are, we already said that. Fine. And all the other options or ways that we mentioned to prevent HIV, you'll find them in your notes. You have to make sure that you're screening the blood sample before blood transfusion. Don't share needles. If you are a drug addict, again, this is your choice, but at least have your own needle. Do not use contaminated instruments. If you discover that you are HIV positive early on, then you have to use antiviral drugs to slow down the onset of the AIDS. Okay, so we're done with the supplement part. Now, why did I meet you today? Because we did not do the core. And the core, of course, is as important. I will say it 100 times. We're done with all that. I'm going to open the core. Just give me a second. No, you're not. Okay, now the core is very important because the core here introduces you to the lesson immunity. Let's just finish it in half an hour and I'll let you go. Now, just to make sure that everything is covered, you know what are pathogens, yes? These are microorganisms that cause disease or they don't cause disease.
Cause disease.
They cause disease. Now, when any pathogen enters the body will have to respond to this infection. The first thing that the body will do is that there will be a slight increase in temperature, showing you that the body is sick or there is something wrong and you have to take action. This is someone feeling sick, low-grade fever, he has headache, he has pains in his body, etc., etc. Now, causes of disease. Causes of disease is the same thing as the types of disease, and this can be an essay question on its own. Now, first tell me, what is a transmissible disease? It's a disease that can spread from one person to another or not?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And one of the keywords that have to be present in this definition, it is a disease that is caused by a pathogen and it is passed from one host or from one person to another. Causes of disease or the types of disease are the same thing. Very easy. Some diseases, they appear at birth and they are due to mutation. These types of diseases are called or they are caused by genes, like a genetic disease. By the way, we already studied genetic diseases and we studied even sex-linked diseases. Give me one example of a sex-linked genetic disease that we took in the lesson reproduction.
Sickle cell.
Excuse me?
Sickle cell anemia.
Yes, we did take sickle cell anemia. It is a genetic disease, but it is not a sex-linked. I want a genetic disease and a sex-linked disease.
Color blindness.
Color blindness.
Color blindness, very good. Color blindness is a sex-linked disease. Of course, sex-linked means genetic. It is caused by a recessive allele. Don't forget that. And hemophilia also is sex-linked. They tell you this information in the question. But color blindness is recessive, okay? Remember. Cause of disease by pathogens. We know this: microorganism, bacteria, virus, fungus. Autoimmune disease. Now tell me, autoimmune disease, this is when your immune system attacks the self or the non-self antigens?
Self.
Self antigens, okay? And we don't know the reason why an autoimmune disease will start. Unhealthy lifestyle. Unhealthy lifestyle means you are smoking, you are drinking alcohol excessively, so you can cause diseases related to too much alcohol. You are a heroin addict, so you became addictive, and this is a disease. Addiction is a disease. You eat too much fat, so you have coronary heart disease. So you caused this disease on yourself because of bad habits. Poor diet, we already took that, which is the deficiency diseases like the scurvy, lack of vitamin C, lack of iron will give you anemia. Too much fat will give you coronary heart disease. This is because of a poor diet. Some diseases only come at old age, like Alzheimer's, like degenerative diseases, back pain, knee pain. These usually come at old age. So you have this in your notes. It's really, really easy. It looks scary, but it's very easy. Types of diseases that are congenital. Congenital means genetic. Like people are born with a mental retardation. This is not contagious and it's genetic. Acquired diseases, these are diseases that develop after you're born. And some of them are communicable or they can spread from one person to another. These are caused by pathogens, and some are not. Non-communicable diseases means they do not spread. Like what, for example? Like cancer. You can memorize only 3 examples, it will be enough. Cancer, an allergy. An allergy, it's not caused by a pathogen. It's an example of an autoimmune condition, and it is not transferred from one person to another. Deficiency diseases, because you're not eating well, and again, this is not transferred from one person to another. Now, why do I have these pictures? Because these pictures are because of fungal infections. Now, your syllabus is very fond of fungi. Again, quick revision. Fungi is a kingdom of its own. It's not an animal, it's not a plant, but there is something common between fungi and plants. What is it quickly? They both have a what?
Cell wall.
Yes, cell wall, but the cell wall in fungi is made up of a polysaccharide known as chitin or chitin. And in plants, it's made up of what? We are revising here. It's made up of cellulose. Very good. And fungi, there is something common between fungi and animals. They are both what?
Consumers.
Very good. They are both consumers. Now, why is fungi very important in industry and in biotechnology? And we will study it again in genetic engineering, because fungi can be very useful and it can be very harmful. We said it can be very useful because it is used in bread making and alcohol brewing and in making of biofuels. Also, we will study that fungi makes antibiotics. Okay, for fungi as a microorganism, it's very useful and we actually eat it. Mushroom is a fungi and it is rich in protein. Now, this picture is the cause of a fungi. So fungi here, I am showing you that it can be also very bad. We are studying now the bad uses of fungi. Fungi, they are harmful when they cause disease. They can cause disease to humans and they can also cause disease to plants. Now, fungi, when they cause disease to humans, generally, the reason is bad hygiene, someone that is not clean, because the fungi is always on the surface of your skin. But the population of the fungi will increase when you are not clean. End of story. When you don't shower, when you don't brush your teeth, when you don't wash your hair frequently, you will have fungal infections like this boy. He has a fungal infection on his scalp because he's not clean. And this is another ugly picture that shows a fungal infection between someone's toes. You don't have to know the names. This is called athlete's foot. And because he does not wash his feet and his feet are not clean and they're not dry the whole time. So this is going to cause cracks between his toes. Again, it's a fungal infection. Okay, this is also a fungal infection. Always the reason because someone is not clean, unfortunately. This is a fungal infection on the skin. This is called a ringworm. Again, because of lack of hygiene. Okay, so this is exactly what I said. We have good fungi, we have bad fungi. Good fungi in biofuels, bread making, alcohol brewing, they are decomposers. We eat them, they are mushrooms. Okay, this is very important. They are very fond of fungi in your syllabus. Harmful fungi, they cause disease. Anything that causes disease, either in animals or in plants. Okay, useful fungi, yeast, make antibiotics, biofuel, they are decomposers. We use fungi to make cheese and milk, by the way. We will use it in biotechnology. We will take the lesson, hopefully, I don't know when. And single cell protein, again, in biotechnology. And we also add fungi to our sewage because it breaks down organic material. So fungi is very important. Transmission of disease, this will take 5 minutes because we already took it, by the way. Either disease will be transmitted by direct contact or indirect contact. And the name speaks for itself. Direct contact means I will come in contact with the person or I will come in contact with his body fluids. If I directly touch you and I become sick, this is direct contact. If I touch your blood or your fluids, any fluid coming from the person, this is direct contact. Now, the examples are important. You need to know at least 2 to 3 examples because they ask you. Any sexually transmitted disease is a direct contact. If you touch any blood transfusion, direct contact, you came in contact with blood. Sharing infected needles by drug users. From the mother to the baby, this is direct. From the mother to the baby during childbirth or across the placenta, this is direct. Droplet infection, if you are kissing someone or you came in direct contact to someone who's sick, this is direct. Now, what does indirect contact? Indirect contact means I became sick, but I did not come in contact with the person or his body fluids. Like what? Someone was sneezing. He is 2 meters away, but he started coughing and sneezing. He did not put his hand on his mouth, and the virus was spread through the air. This is called airborne. Very easy. It speaks for itself. Airborne means the virus or the pathogen was carried by air. Please know one example. Very easy. COVID or the flu. This is an airborne disease. You touched a dirty surface. You did not come in contact with any human being. You did not come in contact with blood or any genital excretions, but you came in contact with a dirty surface. So this is indirect. You ate something or you drank dirty water. So this is also indirect. Now give me an example of disease spreading by dirty water or dirty food. Very easy. We took it.
Cholera.
One example only, cholera. Now, animal to person contact, you can become sick when a dog bites you. This is here called a vector through an animal. Animals are called vectors, like rabies. Or there is another disease that has been canceled. I will not talk about it. I will just use it as an example. Malaria. Malaria is a disease that is, by the way, very common, but it is not common in Egypt because we don't have the mosquito that causes malaria, thank God. This malaria is common in countries that have tropical rainforests because it is spread by a mosquito. Just know this example, that animal can give you a disease, like a dog bite, snake bite, okay? Or malaria, it is spread by a mosquito. Environmental reservoirs, this is also very easy. For example, we have this worm in the soil. Children that play in the soil and then put the soil or the sand when they're sitting on the beach, put it in their mouth. They can put inside their bodies this hookworm because it's very common in the soil and they can become very sick. Okay, so methods of transmission. This is important because it appears in paper too, by the way. Airborne, waterborne, foodborne, such as cholera, airborne, like the flu, touching a contaminated surface, insect bite, like malaria. Very easy. It will take you 5 minutes only to study this part. Okay, now we did talk about this. We said that the body will protect you through physical barriers, like the skin, like the hair in your nose, like the cilia, remember? And we have chemical. Give me examples for chemical barriers. Mucus, very good. And we have the acid in the stomach and the enzymes in your tears. Excuse me, my dear?
The lymphocytes and phagocytes?
No, this is cellular. Don't get confused. Lymphocytes and phagocytes, these are white blood cells. This is cellular. So we have 3 lines of defense. The body protects you physically, your skin, the hair in your nose, cilia. And also the platelets is considered physical. Chemical, acids in the stomach, mucus, please know these examples. They try to confuse you. And the enzymes in your tears protect your eyes from bacterial infection. Cellular are the white blood cells. Now we studied them in detail for the supplement, for the year 10 syllabus supplement. The phagocytes and the lymphocytes, they are both white blood cells, yes, but they're very different in terms of structure and function. One will do phagocytosis, one will release complementary antibodies. So we talked about that. These are the acids. Okay. Now we finished this. This is what I started off with, by the way. And don't forget B structure. They give you pictures and they will tell you A or B is a phagocyte. You should know. B is a lymphocyte. Okay, I think we saw this picture. It should move. It's not. Here is the phagocyte doing phagocytosis, engulfing. Don't forget the keywords. Digestive enzymes. Again, this is another picture showing phagocytosis. This is the phagocyte, and this is the pathogen. It will swallow it. See, the cell membrane will engulf, will extend out and engulf the pathogen. It will enter inside. It will be placed inside the vesicle, and then digestive enzymes will digest it. This is the lymphocyte. It doesn't do phagocytosis. What does it release? What are these?
Antibodies.
Antibodies that are specific and complementary, blah, blah, blah. We talked about the self and the non-self. I just want to make sure I did not miss anything. And we said this clearly. Okay, this is a question here. Now, what is S? Now, what is T? This is a flow diagram that this is a question from a 217 exam that shows what happens at the start of a bacterial infection. What is T? Help me label, please.
Antibodies?
No, it's not the antibody. This is the antibody. T is the what?
The pathogen.
Yes, this is a foreign antigen. Correct. You're all correct. Pathogen is correct. Foreign antigen correct. Toxins correct. Okay. Now S is the lymphocyte. We said the moment the foreign antigen enters the body, the immune system is activated. What does it do? It will have to select a lymphocyte that will produce complementary antibodies. After the selection is done, it will divide here by mitosis, because we want to create an army. We only have one is not enough. After the selection of the complementary lymphocyte is done, it will divide by mitosis, and then after division, they start producing what?
Antibodies.
And the antibodies will do the job. They will kill the foreign antigen. Different antibodies have different methods. Okay, we talked about that.
Actually, can you explain how allergy develops?
Allergy, by the way, develops. This is when the body starts attacking a self-antigen for no reason. Or it starts attacking a foreign antigen that is harmless. For example, this is you, and you are eating strawberries, or you are eating nuts. Nuts are good for you. They're very good for you. But nuts, they are foreign antigen. Yes, they are foreign, but they are healthy. Normally, they do not cause an immune response. But your body decides that the nuts is not nice. I will attack it. So here you will have an allergic reaction. An allergic reaction, this is when your body reacts towards a foreign antigen that is healthy, that does not cause disease, that should not be attacked, like strawberry, like nuts. Okay? And another example of autoimmune disease is when your immune system attacks your own body cells. This is not normal. Like we will study in another lesson next week, where people that have diabetes type 1, they are born with a defective pancreas because the body attacks the pancreas. The body attacks your own pancreas. So the body is attacking self-antigens. This is autoimmune. Clear? Now this is another
Why
question.
body
Now,
attack its own cells?
yes, my dear. Why?
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know the
Okay.
reason why. Usually it's genetic. They don't know why does the body go crazy and starts
Even
attacking.
allergies are genetic.
What? I can't hear you, my dear.
Even allergies, are they genetic?
Yes, allergies can be genetic or they can be spontaneous. Again, we don't know the real reason why the body goes crazy and starts attacking its own body cells or a foreign antigen that is healthy. The same reason cancer. Cells start dividing for no reason. There are so many things that we don't know the reason for. Can someone tell me what is cell W? And what is happening here? Actually, this is the question. This is the phagocyte. If you write lymphocyte, it will be wrong. Now, year 10, you need to identify the difference between the phagocyte and the lymphocyte. It's very obvious that this pathogen is being engulfed. You will see it in paper 4. Okay? Now, yes, we have questions, but there's something that I want to go to. So I finish with you the different diseases. I think we talked about vaccines and their advantages, or in case we didn't, what are the advantages of vaccine? It gives you immunity. It prevents disease from starting. Some diseases have completely been wiped out. They're not present on Earth because of vaccine. Like the smallpox, for example. It's a disease that is horrible. Okay, now there's a term that I want you to know, which is called herd immunity. Herd immunity, this is when you give a vaccine to most of the population, like 99.9% of the population is given a particular vaccine. This is done to eradicate a particular disease. This is called herd immunity. You need to know this definition. Okay, now these diseases, I told you the two most important diseases are cholera and HIV. The rest we will read. So salmonella, food poisoning. I will not memorize anything. But the moment they tell you that any disease causes diarrhea, what is the line of treatment? Rehydration therapy and antibiotics. The same line of treatment. But antibiotics, of course, if they tell you it's bacterial. Okay, so just read them. I don't want you to study them. I'm telling you. Only cholera and HIV. Okay, and any food poisoning or to prevent any foodborne or waterborne disease, you have to be clean. You have to use separate boards, separate cutting boards for the chicken and for the vegetables. Cook your food properly. Put your food in the fridge because in the fridge, the bacteria will not multiply. Here, malaria is cancelled, but you need to know it as an example. I'm not telling you to study it in detail. We will study it next year. Malaria, it is a disease that is caused by this mosquito. This mosquito spreads the disease, and this disease is fatal. It's not present in a country like Egypt because we are a desert country and we don't have tropical rainforests. Okay, so malaria, here this mosquito carries the blood from one infected person and gives it to another person. Okay, and it can be spread by blood transfusion or mother to child. Don't study malaria except that it is the example where we will say that it is transmitted by a mosquito or a vector. That's it. We studied AIDS. TB is an airborne disease. That's it, all what I want you to know. Okay, very bad disease. Cholera, now this is very important. We're done with that. We took this. This is the oral rehydration therapy I'm telling you about. It's ready-made. We will mix it with some water and we will drink it. Unfortunately, this is dehydration. Dehydration can cause death because the cells lose water and they shrink, they shrivel, and it decreases blood volume. I just want to make sure that everything is covered. Amoebic dysentery is food poisoning also, causes diarrhea. So the same line of treatment, oral rehydration therapy, which is cheap and life-saving and easy to absorb, and antibiotics. Okay. Now, this is important. I want you to know only at least 1 or 2 examples without reading. Give me 2 examples of blood-borne disease, or 1 example. 1 example you know very well. What is a disease transmitted by blood contact? Excuse me?
HIV and AIDS.
HIV.
HIV.
HIV is a nice disease because it is both blood-borne and sexually transmitted. So you can write HIV as an example of a blood-borne disease and also as an example of sexually transmitted disease. Airborne disease, give me 1 example.
Flu.
Yes, flu or the COVID, very good. Contamination of food or water, foodborne or waterborne.
Cholera.
Cholera. Food poisoning and cholera. Through a vector, through a mosquito.
Malaria.
Malaria, that's it. Don't know any details, okay? This is also very easy. How does the pathogen enter your body? You can answer a question like this without even reading any biology lesson. Through the skin, through the nose, if it is airborne, through dirty food and water. If you are bitten by a dog or by a mosquito, sexual transmission, blood transfusion, bloodborne. And 1 example, and you're done. Okay, now they can ask you questions. I think you realize this by now. Get different formats and the same answer. They can ask you questions. What is or what are the diseases that can be spread by water contamination? So what do they want? What do they want you to talk about?
Food poisoning or
Cholera.
Cholera, of course. So they will not ask you directly, what is the cause of cholera? How is it spread? No, they will ask you an indirect question and you will find that the answer is about cholera because this is requested in your syllabus to know about cholera. So they can ask you, what are the diseases that can be spread by water contamination? You can give 2 examples and discuss 1 in detail, like food poisoning and cholera. These are 2 examples, and discuss cholera. You will see that the question is out of 3 or 4 marks, so they want you to discuss it. Okay? Cholera, food poisoning, amoebic dysentery is food poisoning. Typhoid, you don't have to know all those examples. Okay? And they can ask you a question also in an indirect manner. You will see all this in paper 4. How can the water be contaminated?
treatment.
No
Treatment.
treatment, or there is treatment or no treatment?
No treatment.
No treatment, sewage. The most contamination you can do to water supplies is sewage, feces, coming in contact with water, no treatment. And this happens when you are in a developing country, poor, they don't have money to do the water treatment, there is war, there is a natural disaster, okay? Also, other types of waste, we will take this in the lesson ecology because we have so many types of pollution. When chemicals are thrown in the water like oil, when there is a nuclear bomb, and this is called a nuclear waste, we will study fertilizers in detail in ecology, don't worry, okay? And also don't forget the flies. Flies can spread cholera. Flies can spread food poisoning. Would you eat something like this? No way, because this fly stands on feces and then it goes and it will stand on your food. So it can spread cholera, food poisoning, typhoid, salmonella. Never, of course, eat something like this because it's horrible. Now, questions. This is really important. What is R and what is S? These are 2 different white blood cells.
R is phagocyte and S
Perfect.
lymphocyte.
Is the
Lymphocyte.
lymphocyte. So you have to know the difference in structure. I keep on telling you, this is large, irregular, with a lobe nucleus, and you can see what is it doing?
Engulfing.
Phagocyte.
Phagocytosis here. Excellent. T. What is T? What is being released?
Specific antibodies.
Antibodies.
Okay.
Complementary
So look at
antibodies.
this question. Explain how the immune system responds to an invasion of pathogen. Now, this question is half the lesson. And they gave you 2 pictures. They started the question by saying, this is a recent exam, okay? Figure 2.1 shows some cells that are part of the immune system. These cells are responding to one type of pathogen, and they gave you both cells. So in this question, will you talk only about lymphocytes?
About
No.
both.
You will talk about both. Okay, they do not give you a picture here to waste their ink or to waste space. So here, this question explain, you will talk about the phagocyte, and you will talk about phagocytosis and the engulfing and the digestive enzymes. And then you will, the second half of the answer, you will talk about lymphocytes, and you will say everything. You will say lymphocytes will be selected, they divide by mitosis, they produce specific antibodies, they will attack the antigen by one of the methods. You can just write them down, marking or direct killing or blocking or whatever. And then they will remain in the blood and produce memory cells. And this is part of active immunity. Quickly. Okay, and please, when you have an essay question, write one sentence per question. It's nice and clear, and it's neat, and you can do that. Okay, yes, Omar. You have a question, my dear? Okay, explain the advantage of giving a person an injection of antioxidant antibodies. Now, why did I put this question here? I want to remove the answer. This is active immunity or passive immunity?
Passive.
Passive. Read the question, because the moment you see the word injection, you always think of a vaccine. No, it's not the case. You take two injections. One injection will have the pathogen itself. Then this is a vaccine. I want to activate my immune system. I want long-term immunity. Another injection will include antibodies, ready-made antibodies. So here, is this the passive or the active immunity?
Passive.
Passive. So please read the question. You will take two injections. One that contains the pathogen, this is a vaccine. If this injection contains ready-made antibodies, then this is artificial passive immunity, not natural, because natural will be from the mother. Very good.
Breastfeeding.
Exactly. So see, you have to mention that this is passive immunity and write all what you know about passive immunity. Short term, it is temporary, but the advantage is that it gives immediate protection. It is life-saving. Okay, good. Explain how antibodies protect the body against pathogens. Now, this is what we were talking about. Remember Mr. Back? This is a question on its own, asking you how antibodies kill the antigen, and you can choose any one of those. But you first talk a little bit about the antibodies and say that they are complementary and they are specific and they attack a specific pathogen. And then they can do M. What is M? Who remind me? M for?
Marking.
Excellent. I will mark it for phagocytosis, to be destroyed by the phagocytes. R is it will make it boom, rapture. Very good. B, block.
Blockage.
Okay, excellent. A,
Antitoxin.
excellent. These toxins that are produced, they are acidic. I will make them neutral, or I will just make them harmless. C, clumping. I will stick the pathogens together so they don't spread. K,
Killing.
Killing.
very good. You will write those, and you will introduce the question by saying that antibodies are specific, they bind to a specific pathogen. Describe how the cellular structure of white blood cells differ from the cellular structure of prokaryotes. Now, again, this question is not nice. It combines two lessons. The first lesson that we took in the syllabus and the lesson immunity. White blood cells, we will compare them with prokaryotes. Give me an example of a prokaryote.
Bacteria.
Exactly. Okay, this is a bacteria. And give me an example of a white blood cell. Is a normal cell. Why am I repeating myself? A white blood cell is a normal animal cell. So you will make, or you can do that if you want, a nice line in your answer with a ruler, and you will write here white blood cell, and you will write here prokaryote. Now give me 3 differences at least.
الوايت blood cell has a nucleus بس البروkaryote doesn't.
Excellent. Very good. What else?
The DNA in a white blood cell is linear, but in a prokaryote is circular.
Excellent. Very good. Circular. Huh?
Prokaryotes have a cell wall, but white blood
Yes,
cells
they have
don't.
a cell wall. This cell wall is made up of what? peptidoglycan or murine. Yes, I think we took it in O11. Peptidoglycan, okay. And the animal cell or the white blood cell, does it have a cell wall?
No.
No,
No
only
cell
cell
wall.
membrane.
Okay, yes, we did say 3 differences, but give me a 4th difference just to be on the safe side.
White blood cells has antibodies.
They produce the antibodies, not all of them, which give me a specific type.
Lymphocytes.
Yes,
Lymphocyte.
lymphocytes produce antibodies. Excellent. Prokaryotes, do they produce antibodies?
No.
No, no production of antibodies. Very good. And actually, you have the answer to this question in your notes in page 13. Let me erase that. Okay. This is the mark scheme. I did not make this table. I got it directly from the mark scheme where it compares the white blood cell, VES, or versus the bacteria or the prokaryote. And everything we said is correct, plus additional information. No cell wall. We have, of course, in the white blood cell, it's an eukaryote, so you have more organelles. The prokaryote, what is the only organelle found in the prokaryote? Now let's revise this lesson. Only? Does it
Ribosome.
have mitochondria? Yes, only ribosome, correct. Only ribosomes. We said it. No plasmids. Of course, the bacteria, they have plasmids, this extra genetic material that usually contains antibiotic resistant genes. They're bigger. We said that. Very good. Okay. Explain how vaccination provides active immunity. Again, this is a nice long essay question. You will write everything about vaccines. I like you to do the following. First, introduce what is vaccination and then discuss how it works. So you will mention that the vaccine is an example of artificial active immunity or passive immunity or what? Tell me.
Artificial.
Yes, artificial active immunity. It contains the pathogen, either dead or alive, or its toxin, and then talk about how it works in points. Okay, in points. So see, they actually did that. In points, it activates the immune system. The lymphocytes will be selected. They are specific. They will divide by mitosis. They will produce antibodies. One of them will remain in the blood. It will be the memory cell. In the case of a second infection with the same antigen, the memory cell will remember, divide quickly, and quickly produce antibodies. And the advantage is long term, but the only disadvantage is that it does not provide an immediate protection. Okay, I think I am finished. I am happy and satisfied, and I think I did not miss anything out. Anyone has any questions? This lesson, is it well understood? Anyone wants me to revise something before we go? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Tomorrow we will start the nervous system. The nervous system is very important. Make sure that you attend. And tomorrow we will solve together respiration. And I'm going to extend the homework for respiration. Some of you are amazing and they finish paper 4. And I highly, highly encourage you. But some of you wait for me until I solve things with you. Okay, no problem. So I'm going to solve paper 4 respiration tomorrow. So get paper 4 classified and the mark scheme. That's it. This is all what I want. Okay, see you tomorrow.
Doctor,
Yes, my dear.
about this, the circulation homework in transport and mammals.
You want me to extend
Paper,
it?
paper 6, لا, paper 6 is in the homework or not?
Yes, I will extend it because we still did not start it together.
Okay.
I'm going to give time in class to solve the classified because solving is as important as the lessons. They cannot be ignored. So I'm going to extend and I'm going to work with you and I'm going to finish half of any classified. I will do half with you and I ask you to do half alone. Okay, so yes, I will do this now in 5 minutes. I'll extend the homework assignments. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, see you.